Let me be honest with you. Most wholesalers fail on their journey getting rich and changing their lives. Is that going to stop you? Does that fact really hurt you? Most real estate wholesaling coaches have definitely claimed this is a real statistic that 97% of their students that give them $15,000, $20,000 absolutely fail out in this industry. Now, I have a way higher success rate and people don't even pay me, $15,000 to get in this business. But the other stat is people that don't do paid programs, most of them do fail out too. And that's I don't think that's an inherently bad thing. It's like anything really in life. It's like, if you want to become an NBA player, most people fail out doing it, right? I mean, you ask any kid on a high school basketball team if they want to be in the NBA, 99% of them are going to say yes, right? And the thing about it is that still doesn't stop people from training and trying to be the best, because there's a passion and underlining need to become successful. And the coolest part is the cream always rises to the top. Now, I'm going to give you a very good statistic, which means more people become successful wholesalers than successful professional basketball players, right? And the thing about it is, to be a successful basketball player doesn't take as much as you think. You might be like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, well, let's use baseball, for example, right? If you want to become one of the most elite hitters in baseball, you have to have a 300 average, right? I think that's kind of the benchmark in baseball. Again, I'm not the baseball expert, but I know it's at least 300. I believe under 10 people in the MLB that have a certain amount of at-bats, like whatever the average right for a starter is, are batting over 300. And those people get paid tens of millions of dollars. And so they get paid tens of millions of dollars to have a 30% success rate. Think about that for a second. Like, who would even could you imagine if you were like this security guy and you can only stop 30% of break-ins in somebody's business? It's like, yeah, you're fired, right? The thing about this is it doesn't take much, it looks like on paper, to become successful at baseball, but it's like whoever can have a 30% success rate in this tough of an industry is going to win out. And the thing about wholesaling is if you have a 1% success rate with cold calling, which means if you call 100 people and one person says, yes, I want to sell my house, you are an absolute G in the wholesaling game. Like, you are hand over fists. You are just cashing massive checks in your Ferrari every single day because you have a 1% success rate on your calling. The thing about it is, even if you want to become an elite NBA player, Steph Curry, I think his three-point percentage is like 34%, 35% at most, right? I know Kobe was at like 32% three-point shots, right? You don't have to be like that insane. You don't have to be a robot always making it in. And they got me thinking about wholesaling. It's like, how do you not become a failure in wholesaling? Well, there's two things I've always seen. It's like, I always call it the Dwight Schrute method. And what I mean as the Dwight Schrute method is, Dwight Schrute always said this in The Office. The Office is one of my favorite TV shows. I think it's hilarious. Now, I'm not going to spoil the show, but Dwight Schrute's a very funny character, and he's very technical sometimes. And he said this, and it really rung true with me. I don't know why. Maybe I was a middle schooler, but he said, "You know how I do the right thing?" And everyone's like, "What?" He's like, "I think of what an idiot would do, and I do the opposite of that." And Charlie Munger actually said that too. He said, "Whatever a broke person does, I do the opposite of." And Warren Buffett too, his business partner, rest in peace, Charlie Munger, but his business partner had one of the greatest one-liners I've ever heard of how to become successful in investments and being like a hedge fund guy. And it really rings true for wholesaling to a point too. But he said the 3 L's will always kill you when investing. I think it's the same thing in real estate investing. He says liquor, ladies, and leverage, right? And I'm not going to talk about the ladies part, right? Because that's not what the channel's for. But liquor, obviously, what he means is drugs, alcohol, bad things could definitely ruin you, especially in a real estate investing business. Obviously, I guess ladies could be guys if you're a gal, right? Whatever it is, right? Whatever you want, right? And then leverage, right? Obviously, if you have way too much debt in your real estate or an investment or a margin call, you get screwed up, right? And so if you don't do that, you're bound to be successful if you just get those vices out of there. And I'm not saying if you're married, that's a vice, okay? But you know what I'm talking about. You're getting distracted. So the thing about it is, if you want to become a utter failure in wholesaling real estate, I really thought about it. It's like, what would you have to do to become a failure in wholesaling? Well, it's pretty easy. Right? We can name them off pretty simple, right? The first thing that would make me if I wanted to guarantee that you were going to be a failure in wholesaling, first thing I would let you do, the first thing is I would tell you that wholesaling real estate game is rigged, it is against you, and you're never going to win. Now, you might be like, oh my gosh, why are you trying to discourage me? Well, here's the thing. Let's say we're playing blackjack, and I tell you, hey, here's blackjack. The house is always going to win. You are against all the odds. Statistics always show if you play blackjack and you don't cheat, you are bound to lose all your money. If you have $1 million and you play blackjack 5 hours a day for a year straight, you will lose $1 million, all your money. And I might be like, oh my gosh, I'm never playing blackjack. I'm never gambling. Zach, thank you so much for telling me this. Guys, how many times has people told gamblers that you gambling, you're going to lose everything because house always wins? That still doesn't discourage people from playing blackjack and all these other gambling things. Now, obviously, if you can count cards and get in advance, sure, but that you almost get arrested, I think, for that now, right? But the funniest part about this is people know that, but they still don't care, right? And you kind of have to have that gambler's mentality, like, I don't care, I'm still gonna do whatever it takes. And most gamblers lose. But kind of going back on wholesaling houses, like if I want to make you a failure, I would just have to tell you that the world's against you and you're never going to become successful. If I can make these excuses, oh, you're tired, just give up, sleep. And like, all I have to do is just put excuses in your brain about how, oh, you have an accent. No one's going to want to deal with you because you have an accent and people hate people with accents. Like I could say this, by the way, that's satire, but like, that's how it would discourage you, right? Like if you came here from South Korea and I said, oh, people in America hate people with South Korean accents or Korean accents, right? You're never going to become a success. Like you'd be like, oh, okay. But I mean, on the what Zach would actually show you is probably people with Korean accents just crushing wholesaling. I know a couple Korean Americans making millions of dollars who have thick accents. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what it is? It's like, how many Hispanic guys, that are born in, a Spanish speaking country come to the United States with a thick accent and get rich wholesaling? I know a ton of them. So like, I'm trying to be facetious, right? I'm playing devil's advocate, right? I would tell you that you're always going to be a loser and you're never going to win and give you all these excuses to make you feel like you're never going to do it. That's the first thing I would do. Now, obviously, you should think the opposite of that. You should know that it doesn't matter. If you can speak English, there's so many billionaires with accents. You're chill, okay? You're good, bro. Now, the next thing I would do is I would make you go out here and not research anything in wholesaling. I don't want you to look up what's a good market, what's a bad market. I don't want you to talk to any successful wholesalers. That would be the first thing I'd say, hey, Zach, don't talk to anyone that's ever been successful in wholesaling. That is the worst thing you can do, okay? Don't do that because you can't repeat a wholesaling business, right? Wholesaling businesses are never repeatable. You have to create your own method of wholesaling. Don't do what has ever worked for anybody else. Because, I know real estate is a 300-year-old industry and people fundamentally have been getting rich in real estate doing the same thing, but in wholesaling, it's different, right? I mean, wholesaling's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, but you just need to do something out of the ordinary that no one else has ever done. You have to invent a new method of wholesaling. That's what I would tell you. But really, the truth is, if you go out here and you just talk to other successful people in your market, you're just going to figure out what they're doing and just do that. Because the real truth, not the devil's act, right? But the truth is, if you find people who are making $500,000 a year wholesaling in, Macon, Georgia, you interview 10 of them and you'd say, hey, what are you doing to become successful? All you have to do is just copy what they're doing. You become successful. Like, no joke. Obviously, you can put your own spin on it, but going out here and trying to invent a new method of wholesaling, it's not going to work. I mean, 99% of the time, I'd bet it ain't going to work. Because the thing is, the most successful wholesalers in this industry have came through this YouTube channel. They come through wholesaling.com. So not one person with as much testimonials and successful students as me. And what they all do is they just copy what I've done around the entire country to make money wholesaling. Now they're going to do their own thing, right? But what I've always found was if you just find somebody that's successful and just generally try to do what they do, you're going to be good, right? Back in the 90s, there was this big saying. It said, be like Mike, right? And what it means is just be like Michael Jordan. So if you did what Michael Jordan did, you're bound to be successful wholesaling, be successful in basketball. And I always give everyone the Kobe Bryant analogy. Everyone rolls their eyes when I say it, but like everyone's asking, like, how Kobe Bryant, how were you so good at basketball? And he says, you want me to tell you exactly what I did? The big secret? And everyone thought he said, oh, I put baby powder on my shoes before I shoot a basketball. Everyone thinks it's like this crazy, massive secret. Well, what he said was when I was a kid, right? I never went to parties, never did I was just in the gym. And I was like, boring. Tell me the real reason. But the thing is, he said I spent 6 days a week. I would work out for 6 hours a day, just basketball. And everyone's just like, that's boring. What's the real secret? What, you put honey on your hands and then you're shooting like a champ? Like the thing, everyone thinks there's this massive secret, right? And one of my favorite basketball players is Larry Bird. I think Larry Bird is really, really awesome coming up. He's one of my favorite trash talkers of all time. But when Michael Jordan came in, he absolutely destroyed him. Michael Jordan was on a different level, but Larry Bird was pretty iconic back in the day. And if you ever read his autobiography, he talks about just how much time he spent shooting the basketball. So he was a big trash talker, but he always made the money. Like he always went in here and got the shots in, and he always made the baskets because he spent so much time shooting the basket that it doesn't make any sense for him not to be successful. And that's the thing I would say too. I would say if I want to, be devil's advocate, I want you to fail in wholesaling, I would say just do the bare minimum. Just do whatever the bare minimum to survive is. Like don't do anything above that. Don't do anything, just put in just 3 or 4 hours a day. Don't work too hard. Have some balance in your life. When the truth is, what I would really want you to do is put so much work into wholesaling that it wouldn't make any physical sense with the laws of the universe that you couldn't be successful. And I always go back to looking back on me in wholesaling. It's like, Zach, how are you so good talking to sellers? How are you so confident? How do you make so much money? And I always reply back. I was like, oh, nice for you. You're doing all these deals and checks. And I always like saying this, like, nice for me? Like, was it nice for me when I was 19 years old, when everyone was partying and I was just working? Nice for me that I was cold calling 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for a year straight. Nice for me that I worked 16 hours a day. I gave up my latter teenage years, all in dedication to get better at the craft of wholesaling. Good for me that I worked 16 hours a day for years and years and years straight before I even had any vacations, anything fun in my life. Nice for me. Like, what a jerk thing to say, because everyone thinks it's all nice that I make all this money. I'm millions of dollars and I'm one of the richest wholesalers ever under the age of 30. It's like, I put more work than anybody else in the age. So it's like, why is Zach one of the richest wholesalers ever in history under the age of 30? I know by far, by under 25, it's like, I can say this confidently, and I say this with no ego. I'm not flexing. I'm just saying the truth. I don't know another wholesaler my age or under, so I'm 25 years old. I don't know one wholesaler that has put in more hours in wholesaling real estate than me. It's straight truth. I don't know one. That's why I don't know one that's making more money than me now. Now, there's obviously wholesalers, 30, 40, 50 doing way better than me. And obviously I want to be in there. They're in the mid to high 8 figures. That's the best way I can describe it in wholesaling. There's some pretty big dogs, okay? Some pretty big dogs in the industry. But I'm still progressing pretty good, I ain't gonna lie. But the thing I wanna say is no one's putting more time and effort in this industry. Now the question is, Zach, do you really wanna be making 90 million a year wholesaling? I mean, there's a certain point of money. It's like why do you wanna go from let's say a 50 million to 100 million net worth in the wholesaling game? Like, I'm being straight, why do you wanna do that, right? It's like, what, you want an extra 16 bedrooms in another villa in Italy? I don't know. But the thing about it is I just put more work in this business that it doesn't make any sense not to become successful. And so my advice for anybody, this is Zach's real advice, is if you are not married, first and foremost, if you are not married, you do not have any kids, all right, and you live at home. So this is a very, very specific demographic I'm going for. You're not married, you have no kids, and you live with your parents, which there's nothing wrong with living with your parents, by the way. I have no problem with that. Half the internet thinks I live in my mom's basement still. That's fine by me. I don't really care. But the thing about it is I'm actually recording this in my mom's basement. By the way, she's upstairs cooking dinner tonight. You know, obviously. Mac and cheese, Mom! I want some mac and cheese! But, Mom, bring me dinner! But I cracked myself up. I gotta have fun playing. Okay. But the thing is, I say, if you are unmarried and you have no kids, you live with your mom, what I would tell you to do is you have to put as much waking hours in this business as you physically possibly can. Like I'm saying, limit your YouTube activity, limit your TikTok, no video games. I would say eliminate your fun at this point. I could care less. And just pour and reinvest your most valuable asset, which is your time, into doing more marketing, more deals, and getting more cash. I don't know a wholesaler, and I've been in wholesaling for 8 years now. I don't know one wholesaler in the entire industry that has put in 5 hours of cold calling, 5 days a week for 5 years straight that has not got a deal. I don't know one. The thing is, it doesn't exist. There's not, the crazy part about that is there is so much marketing that you have to do 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for 5 years. There is no possible universe where you don't get a deal doing that. We don't have any wholesalers that can comment below and say, no, I did 5 years and I didn't get one deal. They all did it. So the thing is, you only fail in this business when you quit. So just don't quit and you'll be successful. And so what I could tell you, if you don't be a failure, just don't quit. Just keep going. It doesn't matter how tough it is. Guys, you would spend 4 years in college to get a degree and you won't put 4 years in a whole. If you just put 4 years in this business, treat it like a college degree. All right. Most people go into debt to go into college. I promise you, I promise you, you'll get out 6 figures if you just do the work, do everything we say in wholesaling.com and on this YouTube channel. Just don't fail. The best part I could tell you about wholesaling versus sports, right? Everyone looks at sports. It's like in sports, you technically get worse after the age of 28, right? Like you technically get worse, right? You know, a player when he's 30 versus 40 is worse at 40. But the cool part about entrepreneurship and real estate investing and wholesaling is you get paid not with your body, right? With your brain. And the cool part about it is you always end up making more money the more years you put in. That never really happens in sports, right? Because you kind of peak out 27, 28, and then you go down. I think entrepreneurship and the greatest businessmen, the ones who make the most money, are in their 60s and 70s. And so you're playing the long game here in wholesaling. And if you treat it like the long game, especially in real estate investing, that's how you crush it. So guys, if you don't want to fail, don't quit, keep hammering, network with other successful wholesalers. That's why I say go to wholesaling.com, ZachDiscord.com. Please go out here and actually talk to successful people outside of me. Just do what they say and you'll become successful. Guys, do me a favor, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe. I'll see you inside of wholesaling.com and have a blessed one. Thanks, guys.